with NXT possibly switching to TV 14 with Raw and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for July 16th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Speaking about AEW's success in recruiting wrestling talent, Jim Ross revealed on his podcast that the company's family-friendly schedule helps in this regard. AEW, we don't even do the house shows. Our guys work a travel day and a production day, so they've got one of the best schedules in the history of pro wrestling, and are making good money in AEW, and the longevity is going to increase. I think we'll see. I think what's always going to be great for us, as far as recruiting talent, is the fact that we've got a schedule that's family-friendly for the talent. It's the first time ever. Before going on an incredible run to become Becky 2 belts, Becky Lynch had considered quitting WWE, as Mick Foley recalled what happened on his podcast. You know, look, I wrote this article, I think it was in 2012, I think it was about the Divas, and it was about how much they did behind the scenes and what great ambassadors they were, and that even though as much wasn't expected of them in the matches, they were really workhorses for the company, and I didn't think they were being compensated like they should have. So, not to say this to be a name dropper, but before Becky Lynch became the man, before she got that break that we all thought she was due, she was really wondering, she's really down on herself, down on her role with the company, wondering if it was all worth it. I remember giving her 2 pieces of advice. I said, be patient, be ready. I relayed to her a story about me being in the Memphis studio, and I was forbidden from talking because I had some of the telltale sounds of a New Yorker, which wasn't good, especially because Gary Young and I just turned babyface in Memphis. The crowd would have turned on a babyface New Yorker in a heartbeat. But what happened is Gary was a good promo guy. He fumbled a little bit. Lance Russell hands me the microphone, and I was ready with stuff and cut a pretty good promo. So with that in mind, that's what I told Becky. And then I also told her not to give up on the independent scene. It might refresh her and, remind her what she loves. And I said, if you don't mind me asking, what did you make last year? I won't tell you what she made. I'll just tell you my reaction was, oh, well, you've got to stay in WWE. I didn't know that the money had picked up for the women to that extent. And like you said, how many women do you think are making 7 figures? 6 or 7? With word making rounds that Montez Ford has been impressing many backstage in WWE, possibly indicating a future singles push for the star, The Rock spoke to Entertainment Tonight about Ford, saying, I love that guy. I love his energy. I love his charisma. I love his work ethic. And in the world of pro wrestling, there's nothing like the world of pro wrestling. It's very unique, and it's also a business. Professional wrestling, WWE, it's in my blood, it's my passion, I love it. So for a guy like him, he's worked his butt off. And by the way, they all do. Everybody in that locker room, the men, the women, but him in particular, he's got great athleticism. He's got the whole package. He's cool. He's very cool. On After the Bell, Corey Graves spoke about the changes that have come to NXT, but had some criticism for those on the brand, saying, almost to a person, everyone that came to the ring or had a video package followed by an entrance is unique. I love the offsite shoots NXT has been churning out. It's cool. This isn't a cinematic masterpiece. It's not Oscar-level performance, but it's an opportunity for everyone to get their chops about them, get comfortable in different environments, in front of more cameras, and really complete themselves and figure this out. I noticed this problem. Once the bell rings, everybody wrestles the same way. The example I'm going to give you is the first one I noticed, and that was Giovanni Vinci. I love the presentation of Giovanni. I think it's cool. I get it from the vignettes hyping his return, the music hits, he comes out with the snapshots, the photography, the Gucci-inspired wrestling gear. 10 seconds in, if I've never seen him before, I know who Giovanni is. Once the bell rang, Giovanni was no different to me than the guy in Imperium, Fabian Eichner, Vinci's former persona. Later on in the show, Roxanne Perez, who I think is going to be a big star, very capable, very talented. I love her personality, her fire, her energy. She doesn't wrestle much different than JC Jane, or insert superstar here. It's a concern of mine that to make a truly great WWE superstar, character has to permeate every step of the match. You have to wrestle with your own skill set. Everybody on NXT, this is what is going to get blown up, I'm sure. Everybody on NXT, in my opinion, from my perspective, is a better wrestler than I ever was. They're all better athletes than I am. They're better athletes than some of the guys and girls on the main roster. The potential is all there. It's just a matter of maintaining the persona and personality from bell to bell. You should be able to turn on a match and get into the match and understand who is who and what they're about, what they bring to the table, and why they are different than their opponent. With Wardlow previously saying it'd be a dream of his to team up with the Hardy Boyz in AEW, Matt Hardy revealed on his podcast that he is open to a trios team. From the first time I met Wardlow, I really appreciated him. He was very respectful, very nice, very kind. He's a good guy. I see a lot of potential in him as far as being like a crossover into mainstream star. I think that would be possible for him. He's a very talented guy. He can do so much more than you would expect him to for his size and his look. He's extremely athletic. He's also a very charismatic, good-looking dude, and yeah, I'd love to do a trios run with Wardlow once brother Nero takes care of himself and he gets to where he needs to be. Matt, Jeff, and Wardlow together would be really, really fun. We can be trios tag champions one day if we get those titles. As AEW President Tony Khan announced that Andrade is injured, the star is now taking to Twitter to give fans insight into the severity of it. He wrote, "Nothing serious. I have inflammation in my ankle. It is because I've been in the business for almost 20 years." Impact Wrestling's Kenny King went online to share an upsetting story with his daughter having a run-in with police. As he wrote, "Yesterday in Las Vegas, my 15-year-old daughter was falsely detained by law enforcement due to mistaken identity. While I understand that might happen, the procedure that took place was extremely unacceptable. The officer who detained her did not attempt to identify her or himself before placing his hands on her and telling her to place her arms behind her back. It appeared to be a cooperative effort between law enforcement and American Airlines, neither of which attempted to identify my minor child, and after a few minutes were able to identify their actual suspect, whose only resemblance to Mackenzie was that they were both light-skinned. After the mistake was realized, nobody from law enforcement attempted to contact Mackenzie's parents or do anything to calm down my scared and anxious daughter. This is completely unacceptable and will not stand." During an interview with NBC Sports Boston, Madcap Moss spoke about Paul Heyman calling him a future main eventer, saying, "The analytical side of me that might be skeptical of maybe I'm just hyping myself up in my head a little too much. Maybe I'm not as good as I think I am." Those go out the window when you've got someone like Paul Heyman saying that, who is an absolute legend in so many ways, as a performer, as a promoter, as a judge of talent in this industry. And when he's saying those things about me, going out of his way to say those things about me, it gives me a vote of confidence that I'm on the right track and I can do all those things with the best of them. It also motivates me to make him live up to his word, and part of that is because I just want to prove him right, and I appreciate him saying that. But he's also a big reason I'm in this position that I am today. He was a big part of getting me an opportunity on Raw at the beginning of 2020, and so I owe Paul for that. I want to prove him right in a number of ways. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed Raw going from PG to TV-14 and how WWE is not expected to push the envelope too far in this regard. I mean, as far as I know, it's something in discussion. It's not going to start this Monday like Andrew Zarian had first thought, and I guess there was a memo that he had seen that had said that, but the memo was released prematurely or something. It's weird. I don't believe they're going to do blood. I've asked the company, there are people in the company who I know knew nothing about it. The company official line did not comment on it at all. So, that makes me think it's in progress and they don't want to say it until they're ready to address it themselves. And they're not yet, because they would have if that was the case. It's an interesting thing because, the TV PG thing was all about Mattel, right? And the sponsors and promising to keep the show clean. So this is kind of like going against that to a degree. So as far as, like I said, I don't believe they're going to do blood because they've come out so hard against it. Then again, there was times when they went really hard against WCW doing blood, and then they competed against WCW by doing blood. With NXT also on the USA Network with Raw, Meltzer discussed the possibility of it becoming TV-14 as well. I would think that if they do it for Raw, they'll do it for NXT. I think it'd be across the board. I don't think it should be one show. Why do one show? SmackDown would be up to Fox. At the end of the day, this is a USA call, not a WWE call. Again, if Fox wants it, yeah. In both cases, it's up to Fox and it's up to USA. They're the ones making the call. In fact, on this one, I was basically told it's the USA's call. So it's not like Vince McMahon said this. I mean, obviously, Vince has to greenlight it, but it's USA for whatever reason. If they want it that way and they think it'll hurt sponsorship, maybe they won't want it that way. I don't know. I could see WWE going like, oh god, on TNT, they're allowed to say shit, and we say it and it's bleeped out. Let's change that. It's such a minor thing, but absolutely, they would want to do that. On Twitter yesterday, AEW star Fuego del Sol said that change is going to come, as many seem to think his time of the promotion is coming to an end. He also blacked out his profile and removed any mention of AEW from his page, as it remains to be seen what's next for him. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.